The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Friends in Recovery podcast, the podcast that is here to help you, a loved one, or a friend get started down the road to recovery. This is the Friends in Recovery podcast, brought to you by the Genesis House. Genesis House, providing a safe, nurturing environment to heal from addiction since 1992. Please be a friend and share our message with a friend on Podbean, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or YouTube. And now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, welcome everyone. Friends in Recovery podcast. We're broadcasting live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café up here in Salem, New Hampshire, and it's a beautiful venue.
Yes,
Would you agree, gentlemen?
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yep.
You got to see this.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, you're welcome. And we are your Friends in Recovery. We are your Friends in Recovery. Come get sober with us. And you can reach us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. You can reach us at our 800 number, 1-800-989-6504, or friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. And also look for us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Be sure to like us and subscribe. We would like to thank the Genesis House for sponsoring Friends in Recovery podcast, as they do every week. We're very fortunate to have such a reputable and just a gold standard of recovery. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Yep. Thanks to Genesis House.
Yep. So back to Studio 21 Podcast Cafe and our show. And I'm Mike Miles.
I'm Rich Lombardi, the step guy.
And I'm at Chionchio.
Yep.
It must be Tuesday.
It's
must be
Tuesday. Yeah.
Tuesday.
Step guy. Oh, boy.
Second Tuesday of the month, guys.
We're
Yeah.
stepping out with Big Rich.
I want to give a quick shout out to a friend of mine over at the Lowell District Court in the clerk's office, Michelle. I know she watches the show on the regular, and so I just wanted to say hi to her today.
Lovely
and,
young lady.
Lovely young lady.
Lovely.
Thank you there for all the help over there at the Lowell District Court.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Mike, you always ask, Ed, do you have something for us? I think.
Ed, do you have something for us?
Well, no, I don't. You might want to ask Rich or Step Guy.
I think Rich might have something.
Yeah.
Nice. So welcome back to the Step Show, or the Step Guy. And just to rehash real quick, obviously it's been 120 days already.
Really?
Holy cow. It's,
Where's the time go?
time flies when you're having recovery.
That's right.
Certainly does.
We are not a glum lot. Right?
No,
We are not a glum
definitely
lot.
not.
We like to have fun.
Yes.
So anyway, just to rehash, obviously, step one, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable.
Yep.
Step two, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step three, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him.
Right.
And today we are on step four, made a searching and a fearless moral inventory of ourselves.
It's the work step, isn't it?
Ooh, yes. Now we begin the work.
That's right. Roll up the sleeves.
So, we begin the work, and so now we want to get together with our sponsor. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk a little bit about some resentments, some fear, and a little bit of harms. And basically, the reason I believe that these are only my opinions, obviously, and my thoughts. But what it's done for me. Mm-hmm. And basically, when I sat down, I started to look at my resentments, my anger, my fear, and people that I've harmed. Mm-hmm. And what I've learned over the years through this process, that we develop blocks to our higher power. So we did the first, the second. We admitted we were powerless. Now we're turning our life over to the care of God as we understand Him. And now we want to try to open that door. Mm-hmm. And what blocks me from that door is resentment, fear, selfishness, dishonesty. And these things get in the way. Mm-hmm. And as our disease progresses and as we progress in our addiction, we get more and more of these blocks, and more and more of these blocks. And then all of a sudden now I went from a guy that was, saying his prayers and asking for help and, that type of stuff.
The pink cloud.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, prior to my addiction, I had a good relationship with a higher power. I was asking for help.
Sure.
I was living that way.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, once I picked up and then the resentment started to kick in, the fear.
Took control of your life.
Yeah, took control of my life and blocked me from my higher power.
Yeah.
Because now I become afraid.
Yeah.
I become afraid to talk to my higher power because I'll just give you a little of my past background. Obviously, I grew up in a Italian Catholic home, and I had a fear of a punishing God. I went to the parochial school system.
Oh, yeah.
That tell you something right there.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Yeah. And, the fear and, if you do this, you're going there and this, that, and the other thing. And then as soon as I did the first wrong thing, I'm like, well, I guess I'm going there.
Just go straight to hell.
Yeah, go straight to hell. And
Don't
I better not talk to God because if I do, he's going to tell me what for. And so, of course, I stopped doing business with God. These resentments build up, this fear, this doubt, this dishonesty, and these type of things. And then slowly but surely, I'm totally cut off.
Yep.
And so now, fourth step, we're going to sit down. We're going to talk with our sponsor. We're going to share some truth.
Yep.
And then by sharing this truth, it's going to let us see the true picture.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So.
The true picture.
Yeah, the true picture.
That we don't want to look at.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And most people in this day and age, they have no problem doing step 1, 2, and 3. Mm-hmm. But now when it starts to come to do the action, that's really when the fear starts to build up.
Yeah, on my way up here, I had fear of talking about this step.
Yeah.
Step 1, 2, and 3 was easy because, we're all Catholic. We all come from a background that was kind of ingrained in us, and that's our belief. But now the work step. This is. I'm thinking to myself, am I going to have to do a step 4 in the air with Rich?
Hey, maybe, right? Yeah, you never know, right? So, obviously, the way they do it today, obviously, is they do the columns, and you're asked, you do your grudge list, and then your first column is your who. Mm-hmm. Who hurt you and threatened you. You put a list of names together. We're going to get a list of names together, and then the things that caused me to be angry, irritable, unreasonable, and discontented. I put them all down. Right?
Yep.
So they're there. It's there's an old saying, a company that doesn't do an inventory goes bankrupt.
Yep.
Right? So every company, every year, they get together, they count the stock, they count the trade, and then they clean house.
Right. Yep.
And that's basically what you're doing on a step 4.
Right. Yep,
we're taking stock and trade of our life. We're going to start to take responsibility. We're going to look at it. We're going to see it on paper.
Yep.
And then we're going to be able to start taking responsibility.
Absolutely. For all you guys who can't see and you're just listening to us, Rich has a bunch of paperwork up here.
Yeah, we got all kinds of
stuff. This is kind of a normal way to do step 4. This is a little bit more in detail, but there's a bunch of stuff here. And if you want any of this information, give one of us a call.
Yeah, please
at
do.
the 800 number, and one of us will get it out to you.
800-989-6504, or call me on my personal cell, 978-833-0187. Leave your name, your number. I'll get back to you.
Absolutely.
If you don't want to speak, just leave your name, number, address. We can mail this out to you.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely. And your sponsor will have this too, definitely. Your sponsor will know how to work.
Yeah.
It's in the big book too.
It's in the book. It's in the step book and the big book.
Yeah, you go to the step book, go to the big book. I'm kind of from the old school way of doing it, but I keep an open mind, and I was fortunate enough a couple of weeks ago to go up to Bill Wilson's house.
That's right.
And I met a fella named Wally P. And Wally P. is famous for Back to Basics. He looks at AA from the 1930s, the beginning to the 1950s, the way they used to do it.
Right.
I learned some things.
Right. Yes, you did.
I learned some
You know
things.
a lot, though.
Well, no, I don't know much. You know what I mean? God does for me what I can't do for myself.
That's right.
But information is king. Knowledge is good. And I always keep an open mind to learn new things.
Right.
And back in the day, they did the steps in 4 hours. And I know that seems people will go, what? Huh? Right. What are you talking about? A step a month.
Yeah.
I can do it when I want to do it.
Yeah.
This, that, and the other thing. Yeah. Well, when they used to do classes, they would do four 1-hour classes.
Okay.
And they would go over steps 1, 2, and 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 9, basically in one shot.
Okay.
And then 10, 11, and 12, and do it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I used to be of the old school, take your time, write it out, 85 pages, this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
The problem,
agonize over it, and
they had a 50 to a 75% success rate back then.
With the old way of doing it, 4 hours.
Yeah, and now, we don't have enough time. We can't take our time.
No.
People die.
Yep.
You know
You're
what
right.
I mean? We can't wait anymore. We got to get it done, man. We got to get some of this stuff. We want to get the blocks, as many blocks out of the way as we can, as quickly as we can.
Absolutely.
So that we can make a channel.
Absolutely. And the other thing about step 4 too is that here it says step 4 is a vigorous and painstaking effort to discover our liabilities. And that could be done on a daily basis too.
Yeah,
you know,
we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, and some of the paperwork you have here is, listen, if you do a 4th step once a year, you may not be living a good sober life. The way you're talking about it, it's amazing that you can kind of get through those fears and get through that anger and get through all those people you harmed, maybe on a weekly basis.
Yeah, we can do some this week. We can get that. You know, we just want to get that channel open. Right? We want to get that channel open. So we want to get rid of the immediate resentments, the immediate fear, the immediate harms. What's going on right now?
So it doesn't fester into that big, huge thing.
And then we'll do a little bit here today, and then next week you give me a call, or you give your sponsor a call, and then you sit down, you do a little bit more. You know, a lot of times now too, what's happening, and I'm not what's that word? Disparaging. I'm not disparaging anyone of the way they do it, right? But we're in dire need right now.
We are.
We're in dire need right now.
All those opiate addicts and fentanyl and people dying. You're right.
So we want to get that channel open as quickly as possible to our higher power.
Because the relapse is huge now.
Whether you believe or not, believe that we believe.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Believe that I believe. Yep. I mean, I've been doing this since January 26th of 1989.
Wow.
Right? I haven't found it necessary to drink or use any other substitutes. I work the steps to the best of my ability on a daily basis in my life. We talked about this earlier, applying these on the daily basis. This can be done on a daily basis, a weekly basis. The other thing that a lot of times now, you know, your sponsor, you know, this has been some of my experience, and I used to do it. I'm guilty of it. I would get a new guy. I would read a little bit with him, take him through it. I'd send him home, read the first 169 pages. Right? Now, listen, some guys can't even read.
Right.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I don't know that yet because I don't even know him that well. And I'm sending him home to read 169 pages. Meanwhile, the guy don't even know how to read. He's afraid to tell me he don't know how to read. And I'm thinking, oh, he's doing the deal. Right? How do I know? He's not even doing the deal. He gets home, he says, man, I can't even read. I'm going to get high. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm learning some things. And I'm my new attitude and my new ways, my new people, I'm sitting down with them. And I'm going to read with them.
Yeah.
What I find in the step book, and you know, I've read it many times. On a daily basis, I read steps 1, 2, and 3 because I used to get panic attacks, and it really helped me. It took me 17 minutes to read those 3 steps. But I've been through the steps, and I've done all the steps, and I've done the inventory, and I've made the amends. My point is, what I find through the steps is it brings me back, it strips me down to being that person that I never thought, I didn't even know I was that person. You know, honest, full of gratitude, full of just happiness just to be alive, not the material things, not the money. And this was going on when I had no job, I had no money. I was fighting for my job. I mean, things weren't going good in my life. However, I had felt I had been reborn, awakened.
Yeah,
you know? And just real
that's
quick,
what happens.
Sure, and if you're not watching us, just listen. Any step book, you can go online and you can ask for the 12 steps of recovery in AA. You can look at them. Take your time. It's a good read. And you know, because if you're an addict or an alcoholic, even if you don't think or know you are, once you start reading these steps, you're going to know whether you are or not.
Absolutely.
And they're soothing and they're understandable. They're written very, you know, well, so anyone can understand them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
so here I just wanted to read a little bit of this. So it says, how instincts can exceed their proper function. Step 4 is an effort to discover our liabilities. Basic problem of extremes and instinctive drives. Misguided moral inventory can result in guilt, grandiosity, blaming others. These are the blocks that block us from recovery.
A lot of guilt.
That's the it blocks us from.
Hurts a lot of family members and co-workers and you know, that step right there will take all that away. You know, everything you just read will not take it all away, but it'll help you communicate better, help you love better, to help your day go better, or help you understand.
And it breaks down our self-justification. Right? My disease lies to me in my own voice. You know what I mean? It tells me I'm all right. And it's obviously a practice.
Rich, what is since you're the step guy, like let's get back to basic knowledge. And I know you want to go over all this paperwork here, but what is an inventory and why do we need a searching, fearless more of our inventory. That's basically the step 4, right?
Yeah, well, it's going to bring us to the realities of who and what we are.
Yeah.
And we're going to see those liabilities, but then we're going to turn those liabilities from liabilities into assets.
Yep.
Right? And so once we do this, we see it on paper, then we can do our turnarounds, right? We're going to see where we were anger, we're going to see where we were guilt, we were going to see where it's our part, right? Because prior to recovery, I didn't have any character defects.
No.
Right? You know what I mean? Nothing was wrong with me.
You were the man, right?
Yeah, nothing was wrong with me. I wasn't hurting anybody.
You didn't like me, you had problems.
I
was a great guy.
I would justify my own behaviors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Through my character defects.
Absolutely.
Right? So I want to get rid of those character defects. I want to start looking at them so that I can dismiss them.
Right. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And then open up those channels. And then now I have, I have open space.
Yep, absolutely.
Open space. We're going to get rid of some old ideas.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? We're going to take the inventory so that we can sell off the old product.
The old product.
Yeah, exactly. And bring some new stuff.
Yeah, bring some new stuff. See, because my head is
shelves.
full of all this resentment, fear, harms, all these other things. I think we need to take a break.
Yeah.
I think, we're getting that look from our producer.
Yeah, we'll be right back. You're listening to Friends in Recovery Podcast live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café. We'll be back momentarily.
Put that hammer down and check out the Don't Do It Yourself podcast. The Don't Do It Yourself podcast is a weekly podcast where Tommy Two Shoes and No Nonsense Nance sit down with a different specialist every week. If you're tired of unvetted and uninsured contractors charging too much money for not enough quality, you need to check out the Don't Do It Yourself podcast, the Contractors Referral Program. The Don't Do It Yourself podcast is live on YouTube every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. or on demand on iTunes, Podbean, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast catcher. Put that hammer down and don't do it yourself. Genesis House is a premier substance abuse and rehabilitation facility located in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. We have been providing the highest quality of addiction treatment since 1992 and are accredited by the Joint Commission. We offer a range of programs that include detox, residential treatment, dual diagnosis, a Christian track for people who want to incorporate their faith into treatment, a uniform services track, and we work with most major insurance carriers. Genesis House is led by a dedicated team of administrative and clinical professionals, and we stand on our commitment to excellence in recovery services. Contact us today to find out more about our program. Take the first step and call Genesis House at 800-737-0933 or visit us on the web at www.genesishouse.net. That's 800-737-0933 or www.genesishouse.net. Begin your journey to a long and successful recovery with Genesis House.
Soul Sessions is an intuitive life coaching service that provides a safe place for everyone to get the guidance they are seeking. Intuitive life coach Shanti Sincere Slade uses her powerful gifts of empathy, spiritual connection, intuition, human experience, and conscious listening to provide a safe place to evolve and shed light on the truth of who we all are, brilliant divine beings. Remembering ourselves as spiritual beings helps us to navigate through the human experience with more gratitude and ease. For more information or to book a free 30-minute telephonic consultation, please visit our website at www.soulsessions.com. That's www.SOEL for Seeing Ourselves Evolve Lovingly, sessions with an S.com. We can all use a little guidance.
Richie Lombardi, the Step Guy, joins us once a month on the second Tuesday, where we plan to get in-depth with each of the 12 steps to recovery. Come get sober with the Friends in Recovery podcast and Rich, the Step Guy, Lombardi. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to get this and every episode each and every week.
Hey, welcome back to Friends in Recovery Podcast, live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café. And we are here with Mike Miles.
Rich Lombardi, the step guy.
Ed Chionchio.
Ed Chionchio. And
The Paisans.
That's right.
We're going to be, that's right. We're going to be doing a little time thing.
What is that, Mike? Woo. That sounds like something's going on. I think we got to read the Time Takes Time portion of our show.
It's time for the time.
That's right. It's time.
Things I must earn.
That's right. Welcome to the Time Takes Time portion of the show, sponsored by Genesis House. This is where we ask our friends in recovery to email us your sober anniversary so that we can celebrate them with you. Congratulations to the following. Larry A., 17 years, Langhorne, Pennsylvania, my hometown. Good job, Larry.
Yes,
I know Larry personally. Diane N., 6 years, Boston, Massachusetts. That's your guys' territory.
Yeah, congratulations.
I got Sarah K., 9 years, Salem, Massachusetts. And personal family member of mine, Doug S., 24 years.
Oh, awesome.
Croydon, Pennsylvania. He lives a couple towns over. He's my cousin, and him and I got into recovery just about the same time.
Nice.
Awesome.
A couple months later, Doug came in, and him and I are really attached at the hip all the time when it comes to meetings.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, we just come over, have a cigar, and just shoot the shit for recovery.
Like we're doing here, right?
Exactly.
Talking about recovery.
That's exactly it.
The fellowship.
That's it.
The fellowship.
And I think we do have another segment that we're going to be playing.
Well, wait a minute. Ed, no.
Mugs.
If somebody wants to celebrate their anniversary, what do they do?
Yeah. Geez, how can I forget that? I have
Go
to.
ahead.
So if you want to celebrate your anniversary with us, you can email us your first name, last initial, city, state, and anniversary date to help@friendsandrecovery.com. And just get that out to us, and we'll get it on the air. Remember, Time Takes Time, sponsored by Genesis House, and listen for your name in our upcoming shows.
And now it's time for a sincere moment with Shanti Sincere Slade, brought to you by Soul Sessions.
Welcome to a sincere moment with Shanti Sincere Slade. Today I want to talk to you about self-compassion. Isn't it funny how we're taught throughout life to always have compassion for others? Be kind to others. Care about others' feelings. Make sure you take care of others. But do we ever have compassion for self? Do we ever think about ourselves? Are we ever kind to ourselves? The conversations that we have with ourselves? Do we love ourselves? Are we ever taught to have the compassion for ourselves that we need to have for everyone else? It's imperative that we take the time to be kind to ourselves, be compassionate to ourselves, and love ourselves just as much as we've been taught to love others. And that's self-compassion with Shanti Sincere Slade.
Don't you love Shanti?
Oh, man. Great voice. We want to give them a shout-out, by the way, from the step guy.
Right. That's such good advice, too.
They love you, Rich. They want to meet you as soon as they came up.
That was awesome.
I know.
Yeah, they
Real
did
quick,
great.
we forgot to, and we'll go back into this step 4, but mugs and T-shirts, guys. Flying off the shelves. Mike can't keep them in stock.
Nope, they're going out
Rich
fast.
is holding up one of the mugs. And if you want to email us at help@friendsandrecovery.com and let us know if you want a mug, a T-shirt, what size. Get them quick. Email us, and we'll get it out to you. Mugs are what, 15?
Mugs are $12.
$12.
Yep.
Oh,
and
that's a great
T-shirts
price.
are 20. Mugs
Right.
12, T-shirts 20.
Please help support.
Help support.
Friends
We
in
pay
recovery.
for
Keep
the
this going.
shipping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And if you want a signed autographed picture of the Podfather,
That's right. Oh, the step guy.
or the step guy or me.
Oh, Mr.
Ed.
Chionchio. Yeah.
I'm just nobody here now. Should I work a step 4, Rich?
There you go. Maybe we'll have to have a talk after the show. We'll get some of those resentments out of the way.
That's right.
Clear out the path.
So we're on step 4, Rich, and I think just to give a quick summary, you might want to go over. People are probably we're trying to get you to understand in a really short period of time what step 4 is.
Yeah. And so if obviously you want to go to the big book, you can go to page 64 and 71. It talks to examine the 3 blocks of the higher power, and then it's resentment, fear, and harms done in relationships, your sex conduct, and then you're going to list not only your liabilities, but you're going to list your assets too, and then we set them on paper. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say too, before we do any of these things, let's do a little prayer meditation. Let's sit back. Let's ask our higher power to intervene and help us to write and to get that pen moving. And I find that works excellent for myself when I sit down. I do that on a daily basis. Even today, I do a little journaling in the morning.
Okay.
So I do a step 10, 11, and 12 when I get up in the morning to just once again clear the path.
That's why you're a step guy.
Well, I hope so.
Narrative therapy, writing things down is the most aggressive and the most useful form of therapy there is. People don't realize you can heal a lot of problems just by sitting either at your computer or longhand and write down what your feelings, what you'd like to do, your goals. You know, even if you're doing this fourth step, write it out.
Well, that's what the fourth step is about: getting your fears on paper, get your anger on paper, look at it, and figure out what to do with it, how to channel it different ways than what we're used to channeling it. Booze and alcohol.
Bill Wilson, Bob Smith, they were so intuitive. They were so far advanced in helping. I mean, they could have just said, "Listen, let's just talk about us getting sober," but no, they brought these steps into play.
Well,
You know, I'm just saying, and this was the real
underlying
meat and
issues.
potatoes.
The underlying
this is the real
issues,
meat, right? And you know, back then you had to write it out longhand.
I'm going to give you just a little bit of information. Bill, when they eventually the Oxford group and they came up with the steps and that, and they did this. They did the simple form here: the anger, the fear, and the harms, and then they listed their liabilities and their resentments prior to, because there was no steps before. You know, when AA first started, they didn't have the steps, and then they developed the steps as they went along, and then they added them. But initially, they did like a short form steps, like I showed you here today from the Mayflower Hotel. But geez, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
Remind me about what you were just talking about.
No, I was just saying that the
writing.
Narrative
the writing,
therapy.
The narrative therapy.
Right.
So, plus you write it down. Sometimes, you know, when we write things down, we realize that they're not quite as bad as we thought.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes our mind takes over and we start to obsess and we think something's really what it's not.
Right.
And now we put it down on paper, we can read it, we can say, holy cow.
Yep.
You know, look, you know, how simple was that?
Yeah.
Right? I realized that maybe I wasn't as disgruntled as I was, and maybe I was misinformed. You know, I could see the jealousy, right? I could see the fear, right? If I got fear, then I could see the jealousy, right?
Yeah. Well, it's better to see it on paper, because when we have it bouncing around in our teeny little pea brains that we have this tunnel vision on, we think it's doom and gloom. My sponsor always says doom and gloom. It's not always fucking doom and gloom.
Exactly.
It's you know, you write it down, you get it out, and then it's really not doom and gloom anymore.
And so you know, you're going to see the 3 columns in the big book. It's going to show you there. It's going to give you some examples, like in the first column, who hurt and threatened me, Mr. Brown, and then in the second column you're going to write how did it hurt me, and then may get my job. And so you see that the who was Mr. Brown, and then the reason why I was afraid or I was resentful was that he was going to take my job. Simple. It's hard to really like dig into this deep in here when we can't really show you. But
well, you can look at it in the big book too.
Yes.
So
well,
everything Rich is talking about is in the big book on page
64, 65, 64 to 71. The third column on 64, paragraph 3. So then we're going to do the who, the how, the what, and then ultimately we're going to come down to the why, when, and where, and then we're going to do our turnarounds. Ultimately, at the end, now we're going to do our turnarounds. We're going to talk about the anger, the fear, right? We're going to say, so a turnaround, we're going to meditate and pray, and then we're going to say the one that hurt and threatened me is also a sick person. See, we're going to see the other side, right? We always, you know, prior to this and prior to getting to recovery, it was everybody else.
Yes,
absolutely. Right? I pointed the finger at everybody else. It was my boss, it was the job, it was my relationship, it was my family.
People, places, and things.
Yeah, it was people, places, and things. And I couldn't accept that.
There's a great book by Dr. Wayne Dyer, and he explained in one of his books that you know, you're driving down the road, you're up somebody's ass, you're beeping a horn, blowing, you know, flashing the lights. He said, take yourself out of your body and look over their car. It's probably an old couple or a couple just talking, just enjoying the day, and they're just driving along, talking about maybe their kids, and we're behind them hammering them, you know.
Yeah, we're caught up.
We're caught up in our bullshit.
You know
exactly. I mean? So,
the old saying is, if you meet 3 assholes early in the morning, you know, you're probably the problem.
I had an example of that.
Me, myself, and I.
I had an example the other day at work. You know, someone asked me. I guess I was. I didn't look happy, which I wasn't. And then they asked me, and I told them the truth. It didn't go over very well. I forgot to bite my tongue and pretend sometimes, but that's just who I am.
Restraint of pen and tongue.
Yeah, exactly. So once again, that teaches us this too.
Yeah.
Right? Restrain of pen and tongue, right? Teaches us how to bite our tongue every once in a while. We don't have to go to every fight we're invited to.
Right.
Now we see both sides.
Yeah.
So when I look at someone else and they come at me in a obviously once we've processed all this and turned this around, someone comes towards me with anger or some sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't take it personally.
Exactly.
I ask myself, why is that person angry?
Exactly.
Why are they upset with me?
Exactly.
Maybe I got to stop and then I got to ask them, how you doing today?
It's not a bad idea to take a little inventory every day. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Take a minute,
Yeah.
sit back, and say, how's my day going?
Yeah.
What
can
am
I do
doing?
better?
What type
Yeah.
of mood am I in?
Yeah.
Why?
Who did I hurt? Who did I piss off?
And the other thing is, the great news is that once you get rid of this stuff, you don't have to take it back.
You don't.
You don't have to
leave it
take
on
it
the paper
back.
and that's it. It
It's up
stays
to
there.
you. It's
Yeah.
up to you.
Yeah.
If you take it back, then you can't blame anyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? If I take this back, I get rid of something, I give it away, I ask my higher power to remove it from me.
Yeah.
I don't have to take it back no more.
It's done.
Unless I
Exactly. Yeah.
wanna.
Yeah.
And then I got no one to blame.
And step 4 is the beginning of a lifetime of practice.
Certainly
Yes.
is.
It's
Certainly
huge.
is.
So
All the steps.
Yep, absolutely.
The program of recovery.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen,
Yeah.
Progress,
show.
not perfection.
That's it.
It was a great show. And
The show goes by so fast,
yeah,
guys.
It sure does. I want to thank everybody. And
Congratulations.
We are your Friends in Recovery podcasting live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café. Don't forget, you can reach us at help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com. Our 800 number, which is up there very frequently, 800-989-6504. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Be sure to like us and subscribe. Come get sober with us, and thank you, Genesis House.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. It was
Thank you,
great.
hey.
Great show, guys.
Great show.
Yeah.
Good show.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.